All right. Well, we'll get started. Sorry. All of the students do most of the questions. I'm pretty much this first week at the high school. We have some amazing students that we'll have them introduce themselves, and then they'll go from there. So thank you for being here. We are recording. That we'll also be able to post it later on. Some people who aren't able to make it tonight can have it. So just take it away.
Yeah, so I'm Ethan Fendrick, and I'm here with some of my friends, so we'll start over here.
My name is Valerie Hughes.
I'm Aiden Green.
I'm Lizzie Messenger.
And I'm Jack Schultz.
And me and Aiden are seniors, and these three are sophomores. So, I guess we're the ones to start with the questions. Obviously, our candidates name is Jim Myers, we have Tom Schilling, and we have Sarah Sarkocher. We also have some board members in our audience. To point out, Carly Fisher is here, Joel Craven, and I believe Jessica Aragoni, our president, is also here. Lovely. So our order for our candidates to ask questions, we're going to go pretty randomly on that. We'll just start off Jen will go first, and then second question, Tom will go first, third, Sarah will go first. So, if you're a timer ready, what on this? So our first question will just be, why did you decide to run for a school board, and what is your vision for the district?
All right, well, thank you all for doing this great evening. So thank you for inviting the three of us to participate. I decided to run again for the school board because I wanted to continue what we have already started. I think we have some special things going, and Ethan, thanks for recognizing the board members that have given up yet another night of their time. So and here comes one more. So board member Lita Lipscott, President Aragoni, board member Carly Fisher, and board member Joel Craven. So together we've done some great things over the last 3 years. So I want to continue working with my colleagues and just continue the momentum that we have going. And for a vision of the district, again, I just want to make sure that we have an environment for young adults, young students to foster success. So whatever we can do as a board to foster success, not only with our young students, but also faculty and staff, and just make sure that we give every opportunity in the district to succeed.
Thank you. Move on to Tom.
Okay, Tom Schlingen, and I'd like to thank the students also for putting this together and putting it on. That's a big achievement for you guys, and that's what we like to see from kids that go through the school district is wanting to become leaders themselves. Also, thank you to the current board members. I've been attending a lot of meetings since late December, and I know what kind of effort they are putting in on a day-to-day basis. So thank you to all the current board members, including Jim. The reason I'm running is multifaceted, I would say. I have a daughter in the district. She's in second grade, so I kind of have a vested interest to make sure that the school district is doing everything they can to promote a good education for our kids. I have a lot of friends, kids that are in the district, so it's really important to me that the school district stays strong, which I think it is currently. Furthermore, I also was brought to my attention that some families in the district pulled their kids from the district, and this was pretty troubling to me, and I wanted to learn more on why that would happen or what pushed them to do that. So I thought if I got involved, maybe I could learn more and really prevent that from happening, because I think Mount Horeb is a great place to raise a kid and a great school district to raise a kid. So I thought that was something that really struck a nerve with me and was one of the reasons that I decided to run. As far as my vision for the school district, I don't think it changes from what everybody else thinks that's in this room. Clearly, it's important to them. Mount Horeb should be the destination for parents, young parents that have kids that are starting out families. This should be the place that they want to come. And there's no reason why we can't make that happen. And hopefully, working with the great board members we have now and the great teachers and administration, we can continue to make that happen and evolve even more.
Thank you. And Sarah.
I'm Sarah Starbacher, and I will echo what Jim and Tom said in thanking everyone for being here, especially the students. It's great to see that you're getting involved in this and want to know what's going on with the Board of Education, so I applaud you for that. The Mount Horeb School District has really served my children and myself well. I have a son that graduated last year, and my daughter's a freshman. And the district has served us well in various ways. And so that's really one of the main reasons I wanted to run, is to give back. I've been very involved with the district in various issues throughout, since my son was little. Pretty much every principal within the district knows me personally. And I've had a lot of conversations and worked on different things, various issues that my children have gone through, from social issues to IEP issues, just a vast scale of things that we've dealt with that weren't always easy with my children. And this district has really been very supportive of us and stepped up, and has been great for my children and myself. I also have a passion for positive and inclusive learning for all students, every single student. And that passion is one of the other reasons that I wanted to be on this board. This district has been great at working with DEI and those type of things, and I want to make sure that we continue that. And I also have many friends who are teachers and educators, staff here, as well as I do have some family members who are on staff within the district. And I really want to make sure that they're supported and that they're heard.
Awesome, thank you. So for our next question, I will hand it off to Molly, and a reminder that Tom will start first.
What qualifications do you bring to the table to be on the school board?
Well, I'll be the first one to admit that I probably don't have necessarily the best resume, and I'm not the strongest speaker. I'm not great at accounting, which you need to be able to crunch numbers and stuff. I don't have an education I don't have a background in education, teaching kids or anything like that. But I do have a passion for kids. I'm an extremely hard worker. I'm a willingness to adapt. And I'll strive to really help the schools and the teachers and the district. I think that's important. So, thank you.
Sorry, Sarah.
All right. So I've lived in the district here for 22 years. Like I said, my son went through his whole education here. My daughter's a freshman. I have served on 2 different boards of directors for nonprofits. One, I was on the board of directors for PFLAG in Mount Horeb, and I also served on the board of directors for TUGS, which is a nonprofit organization that addresses the stigma around mental health and promotes suicide prevention and awareness. So within working on those boards, where it's a little bit different than the Board of Education, I have been involved in serving on a board with the budgeting processes and those type of things. My job is Director of Communications and Marketing for a dairy cooperative. I feel that my professional skills are relevant as well, as far as helping to improve communication between the board, students, community, staff, as well.
Thank you. On to Jim.
I believe one of the qualifications that I bring to the table that would help is just simply experience. One of the things, as well as we work together on this current board, one of the things that I am not worried about, but the majority of this board is within our first term. And so that's kind of scary to think about, that most people are within 3 years or less. So I bring experience to the table. A few things as as I'm finishing my first term that I'm proud of is a few of the communities that I've been on part of within the buildings and transportation. With the transportation side of things, we've got our bus replacement schedule back on track. We have bought software to help with the safety of our young children on the school buses. With the buildings portion of that, we've continued various projects that have extended from our referendum to help with the safety at the few different buildings that we have. And then on the finance committee, one of the things I'm proud of is I've helped. We have prepaid $2.1 million of debt that I'm played a critical role in, with an extra $1.5 million that we're still determining on what to do with that. So on the finance side of that, I'm proud of that prepaid debt and being stewards of taxpayer money, and then working with the staff and the raises that we have been able to provide over the last 3 years. And a huge, huge thank you to the community for supporting the operational referendum to allow us to do that. So experience would be qualification.
All right, thank you. Our third question will be asked by Aidan here.
Yeah, so starting with Sarah, what do you see as the biggest problem facing the school district?
So I think right now, there are two, the main issue that comes to my mind is the ELC. So obviously the ELC, there's a lot of issues with that building. It's very old. There's a lot of updates that need to be done. I was at the public planning meeting last month, and it was eye-opening for me to hear about how much in disrepair that building is and how the needs of the district that building doesn't meet. So addressing that issue, I think, is one of the main issues that we're looking at right now. And if we're looking at going through a referendum, if we're going to rebuild, if we're going to put more Band-Aids on it, or what we're going to do there. And then I think it's always something that is very important is attracting and retaining high quality teachers and making sure that we're providing teachers and staff here what they need in order to keep them here.
Thank you. On to Jim.
All right, excellent. Well, I will piggyback with what Sarah just mentioned, and maybe not the biggest problem, but the most current problem is what will we be doing with the ELC? And there's a facilities planning meeting tomorrow, so if anybody wants to attend that as well. But yes, will we be going to capital referendum? What will we be doing with that building? Internally, our administration does a great job of having a facilities report card where we know the issues at each of the buildings. One thing that I would like to see is the school district and the community partner a little bit better together and just have a long-term vision of what are we doing with these buildings. Make it more of an investment for the future opposed to reacting when things are really bad like the ELC right now, and have just more of a proactive approach. What are we doing with this building in the year 2035? Maybe a replacement cycle or facility updates. Again, just as an investment for the future.
Yeah, so it's the same issue, but it's going to be just broader. In my mind, it's the financials that cover everything. Currently, the district is paying off debt from a 2017 referendum and the more recent referendum to upgrade, to be able to cover some extra costs for the teachers and some other things. So we're going to be potentially be asking for even more funds from the area to cover another big referendum. And it doesn't stop there. So I think we all would like to have as many programs available for the kids to use, AP classes and extracurricular items that they can attend and be a part of. So, but all this costs money, and we would need more teachers and more aides and more people to help out with that, with more programs. So the biggest problem is we're going to be short on money to do everything. So we really have to be able to pick and choose, unfortunately, what makes the most sense for our district. And that's not an easy decision because everything is important, because you want to be able to provide programs and help for all students, and they might have interests that are very different to one another. And to be able to have programs for everyone. So they all feel included in not only their classes, but in their extracurricular activities. I think that's a big challenge. So I say the financial aspect and how we work with the community and asking for funds and obtaining funds by trying to get more grants and as many ways of getting funds that we can to help support our kids to be the best version of themselves, I guess.
All right, thanks all of you. Our next question will be asked by Lizzie.
Will you have an approach to obtaining student feedback?
And I believe that will be.
Yes, so right now, I think, and one of my favorite parts of this role on this school board is to be a liaison at different buildings. So each one of us on the current board, we are a liaison to a specific board building. I happen to be at the IC, and I have a very scheduled routine with the IC staff where I visit once a month. Today I had recess and lunch duty, and it is a great opportunity to see firsthand of what's going on. Yes, I had recess and lunch duty, but I had a chance for about a 10-minute conversation with a staff member to see exactly what's going on. That is very valuable. And so whether it's with our youngest learners all the way up to our high school students, my approach would be to continue that on the ground, see exactly what is going on through those liaison opportunities.
Thank you.
I think there's a big opportunity to communicate even more with students like yourselves, the student liaisons. I think you have the ability to have a perspective on things that maybe as adults that we maybe don't have anymore. I had a conversation with a current junior recently, and that student brought up some good points on areas that she felt the school could improve. And I really took that to heart, and it made me think of, okay, you know, as adults, we sit and think we might have the best solutions to everything, and we maybe get stuck, set in our ways. So maybe it's okay to have an opinion from the kids and the students who are actually getting taught, especially once they reach high school. So to me, I think that's an avenue that we could even learn more, I think. I know there's already liaisons like yourself that attend the board meetings, but also we have currently have a questionnaire that goes out to all the students. But I think we can do that maybe in a better way and try to get even more participation in it by explaining to the students why it's important that they fill it out. Because the feedback is real and we really try to take it to heart, or at least we would try to take it to heart, even if we can't act on everything that we might see in there. But I think it's important to at least have a trust between the students and the teachers and the administration to say, hey, you know, we do care, and we do listen.
Thank you. And on to Sarah.
So, with background in communications, this question, how I'm going to put this is, so when trying to get feedback, we need to look at the people we're trying to get feedback from, right? So as students, we need to look to you and say, what is the best method that we can go to you so that we're going to get feedback from you? What's the most appropriate way to communicate? Okay, I'm 44 years old. I communicate different than you do, most likely, right? Everybody communicates differently. So your generation, if we want to get feedback from you, what's the best way for us to do that? So that's where we need to have those conversations with the actual students themselves and say, okay, we want to get this feedback from you. What are your thoughts? What's the best way that we can work with you to get that information to us? I work with this on a daily basis as far as looking at different people and different demographics and wanting to get that information and get communication and feedback. How do we best do that? It's going to come down to you and what works best for you as well.
Alright. That's everyone? That's, okay. So our next question, we're gonna have Jack ask here, and Jack is a member of the Mount Horeb High School energy team. Just focus on sustainability in our community. So I'll have you ask this question.
Right, so a big passion area for students is sustainability and environmental issues. Like previously mentioned, I am a member of the high school energy team along with Ethan and Aiden here. The overall objective of this committee is to reduce energy usage, not only in just our districts, but also our community. So beginning with Tom, I believe I'd like to ask you, what ideas would you bring to the board to make our buildings and districts more sustainable?
Yeah, it's a great topic. So to be able to do things like that, it takes funds and trust from the community that we're gonna use those funds properly. And then once we make the decision to implement those, I think we can communicate with students that have an idea and say, okay, what avenue do we go down? Is it solar panels on top of a school or is it, just one avenue like that. But it's a great idea, and as we go through this referendum, I think it's only logical that we have the opportunity to do some of those types of things. But for sure, that's something going forward that the school district needs to focus on. Anytime they're doing any types of new buildings or any types of upgrades, is try to find the most cost-saving way, but also an environmentally sound way of doing it.
Thank you. And we'll have Sarah next.
Yeah, I think I agree with Tom, definitely. And if you look at when we did the updates on the PC, the geothermal system that was put in for heating and cooling and some of those type of things, if we do go through with these updates with the ELC, keeping those things in mind as well. I know, I believe the ELC is the least efficient building that we do have. So going forward, when we're looking at these projects and making sure we incorporate those type of things as well. And I think with sustainability and environmental stewardship, especially at the high school level, I think in science and in, we have a great ag department here, a really good ag program. I mean, it would be good to see projects done in the schools within science and ag. Okay, let's look at sustainability, because sustainability is a huge thing in agriculture too. Let's do some project with the students, have them come up with some ideas, bring those to the board and say, how can we maybe work with the students, putting together some projects and maybe working with some local organizations that deal with sustainability and environmental issues. And have our students included in some of those discussions as far as, you know, to partner with those type of situations and provide some educational opportunities as well. And just making sure that, you know, like Tom had said, funding is always an issue, but looking at these things strategically from a funding perspective. And when we're energy efficient, that's going to save us money in the long run, right? You know, water conservations, low flow toilets, faucets, that type of thing. Even composting from the cafeteria, use that for ag programs in the greenhouse or whatnot. So there's a lot of different things that we could put together. And like I said, incorporating students as part of your education as well.
Thank you. And last, Jen.
Yeah, thank you, Jack, for the question. And I see the monthly utility bills, and it is astounding. So thank you for being part of this and being forward thinking. As Sarah mentioned, we need, and it kind of goes back to our last question of how do we cooperate together and take the feedback from the students to the board level and make this an educational experience for the students as well. And so whatever project we move forward with, how can we incorporate that in an educational setting? In the past 3 years, I've been a big advocate for, we have purchased a food service truck, which is an electric vehicle. So that was a big purchase. That was our first electric vehicle from the district. Right now, we have a federal grant for an electric school bus. So Aubrey has done a ton of work with that. And so much more to come on that. But it might be a long shot, but it's still a fun experience. And then with the new buildings, as we go forward, not only just what are we gonna do with the ELC, but going forward with our other existing buildings, how do we incorporate and be forward thinking with energy sustainability. So this is definitely a passion of mine and definitely on my forefront. So we need to work together with the students to make sure we're moving forward together.
Awesome. So our next question I will handle, and some of you may know that I have been the student representative on the school board for 2 years now. I've also worked pretty closely as one of the student representatives for the village of Mount Horeb, and I talked with a bunch of Rachel from the chamber. So I know we have these kind of three main organizations in town that are working a lot kind of together. So I will just ask, do you think there's been enough cooperation between the school board and these other organizations? And also, how would you improve that cooperation, coordination? So Sarah.
Okay. I think there's definitely room to improve. We can always improve communication. I think it's vital for us to not only have a really open line of communication and as much transparency as we can have with organizations, between the school board and the community, students, teachers. And I think there's definitely avenues that we can brainstorm. Like I had mentioned previously when I was answering another question, not everyone communicates the same. We need to look at multifaceted ways of communicating with each other so that we have open lines of communication, that we can create dialogue, not just, sending an email and, Joe may not look at his emails. And, if we look at it from a generational perspective, as far as communicating and collaborating, most people will say, okay, most young adults, they prefer getting information over text. I can tell you for a fact, my 19-year-old son never answers my texts. So looking at from that perspective of, gathering information and collaborating, and really looking at, is the way that we're collaborating and putting information out, is it reaching the people it needs to reach? And looking at that and how we can improve.
Thank you. And next one, Jim.
Yes, we would be foolish not to think that we can improve. Of course we can. But I have been impressed with the strides that we have made over the last couple of years. Ethan, you mentioned the various positions that you've held on the village board. The village, the chamber, and the school district have done a great job, in my mind, over the last 2 years of cooperating, and we host twice a year a meeting where all three entities are at the table together. So I think that has been a way to improve. That has gone very well. As Ethan mentioned, we host various liaison opportunities on each of those different boards. But like I said, we cannot do it alone. The way the funding structure is right now, the school board, the village, the chamber, any other organization cannot go at this alone. I mentioned it the other day, and it's so true. I truly think now is more important than ever. It truly takes a village to raise a child. The school district cannot do it alone. The village cannot do it alone. We need everybody's support.
Thank you. And then we'll talk.
Yeah, for sure. I would echo both of their sentiments on this topic as well. From what I've seen from the outside looking in, the school board has been working a lot closer with the rest of the community than it has in the past, and I think that's great. Like those guys said, improvement is always possible, and continued cooperation between the three entities is vital. Like Jim was saying, it's the school district can't go it alone. The funding is too short for everything. So if there would be a project that all three could cooperate on and sponsoring and making something that would benefit, the schools and the rest of the community, I think those avenues should be searched out, and if it's doable, we should do it.
So our next question, I will have Aiden handle.
So we have a very, very diverse school district, and just yesterday, we actually had an entire day dedicated to, what do we call it?
Equity and wellness.
Equity and wellness Institute, dedicated to speaking on that. And so how do you plan on making sure the district is a safe learning environment for students of all genders, races, and sexual orientations. Actually, now I can't remember. I think it was there, 7.
I'll go first.
I believe it's Jim.
The biggest word you said there is all students. We are in this together for all students, and remind myself that before every meeting. In order to accomplish this, we need to continue our DEI efforts, just like what you mentioned yesterday. And staying in touch with the students. You know, we covered this with the question before, but our biggest thing is listening. We have to be active listeners on the board and seeing what is going on. We, as a school district, administer 2 different surveys to the students that we get very candid results regarding risk behaviors and how you feel in the district. And I encourage you to continue to take that serious, because we definitely take that feedback and how we can implement and make sure all students feel included, all students feel safe. But it is definitely on the forefront, and it's absolutely one of the biggest things that we need to continue our efforts on.
Thank you.
Yeah, inclusion is so important for everybody to feel like they belong at school. It's supposed to be a safe place to learn, a safe place to grow, and a safe place to develop. So obviously that's key. As a school board member, you're somewhat limited to what you can do on a day-to-day basis. So you can help develop policy, you can help by getting good quality teachers and keep the good quality teachers. You can help develop new programs to help foster that growth for all the kids and different programs and avenues for them to learn and grow and to feel included. I think that's the biggest things that you can do is work well with your staff through the administration and put good teachers in place and good people in place that can see when there's a kid that, hey, this kid isn't themselves today. Let's reach out. Let's not wait. It has to happen immediately, because you don't know what's going through that child's mind at that time. So I think that's probably the key.
All right, so this is something that's very dear to my heart. Some of you in this room know that and know that it's very close to my heart. Policies to continue to support and respect support non-discrimination are so vital. Using inclusive language and promoting that, promoting inclusion awareness to our students is definitely important. Continuing DEI programming. I would like to say that right before I came here tonight, I did see a post that Principal Lundquist just signed an agreement to start a chapter with We Are Many United Against Hate here. So thank you for that. That's great, and we're going in the right direction. In 2015, the school district really took the school board added in some verbiage and to the non-discrimination policies, which were so important and vital for students here to make sure that everyone's included, everyone's respected, regardless of their gender, sexuality, whatever. Super important that those continue and that they continue to be enforced. I would also say that when we think about safety and inclusion, the first thing you don't always think of is mental health, but it's definitely something that is very important. Mental health is definitely a safety issue, and is something that's definitely an issue with the students in this day and age. So definitely continuing our work with Oregon Mental Health within the school district, super important. It's so great to be able to provide that resource so that students that need to see a mental health provider can go right here. especially if their parents can't get them to appointments, they don't need to leave school. We need to continue that. And I also think that getting feedback from the students, we talked about feedback, okay? We as adults on the outside can say, oh yeah, everything's going great at school. Kids are feeling included. They're feeling, they're feeling respected and heard and represented in the school district. But we really need to know that from you. When you go to school on a Monday and you're walking down the hall, how do you feel? How do you feel? Are you feeling that that's accurate? So really being mindful of getting that information from you, making sure that we're keeping tabs on that. Monitoring bullying. The district has a bullying reporting process and they try to monitor that. Our village has an anti-bullying ordinance as well. So really keeping tabs on that too, and making sure that we're not looking the other way.
Thank you. So we have reached the end of our written questions, but I'd just like to ask a quick, pretty basic question to all of you. I know we asked about your qualifications earlier, but I wanted to know about you as a person. So you want to just kind of tell us about maybe your background personally, where you're from, careers, hobbies, you have kids who have been in or are currently in our district, just kind of any basic information that just you as a person.
Yeah, well, this works out good for me because I answered the question terrible the first time out. But some of the mistakes I made, so thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, so my background, I grew up in Mount Horeb. I've lived in Mount Horeb my whole life. I graduated in 1996, went to UW-Platteville, graduated there, and worked in the agriculture industry ever since. Currently, I live outside of town with my wife and daughter, and I do I guess it would be called a hobby farm, I guess. I got some cattle and some crops that I raise, so I'm a pretty busy guy. And I'd say that's one of my strengths is not afraid to work hard and put in the effort to make sure the job gets done and the job gets done properly. Other things I like to do is I love spending time with my family. I like to do a little bit of sports on the side, even though I'm maybe not the most talented person ever, but it's fun and it's nice to be involved with stuff in the community. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Of course, and then we'll go on to Sarah.
All right. So I'm a dairy farm girl that grew up outside of New Glarus. I moved to Mount Horeb in 2001. My ex-husband is a farmer and father of my children. We get along great. We're really good, great friends. Always been involved in agriculture and went to school for agriculture. I'm the director of communications and marketing for a dairy cooperative based out of Madison. I have a son that is 19 and my daughter is 14. My son took the ag route. He was the FFA president here the past 2 years. His last 2 years of high school was very involved in that. My daughter, not so much into the farming, but she's got she's very artistic. She's got her own things that she's into. So I have 2 really great kids. Yeah, and that's pretty much me.
Thank you. And then we'll.
I will say too, I have to say the sports, I played rec league volleyball with Tom for about 12 years.
We were good back in the day.
And then Jim.
Yes, so I grew up in the southwest corner of the state in Platteville and attended the University of Wisconsin, Madison. From Madison, never really left the area. I am a financial advisor with First Business Bank in Madison. My wife, Jamie, and I, we moved to Mount Horeb in 2010, and we have 3 children. Our son is in 7th grade and 2 daughters. One's in 5th grade and one is in 3rd grade. So very active in the community with youth sports, serving on various boards with that. So in my free time, I love coaching the youth of Mount Horeb in every sport. And then outside of that, I officiate Division III men's college basketball and high school basketball. So It keeps me very busy, and no other way I'd rather have it. So,
Awesome. So I'll just ask my students here, and you guys have any questions that you come up with during our meeting? I guess we'll wrap up then. A little bit early, but that's fine. Everyone. So thank all three of you guys for coming tonight. Round of applause for that. Thanks to everyone for coming. We were worried that no one would come. So pretty nice outcome. I'm proud of that. And don't forget to vote on April 6th. Which is our election. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.